Hey, if you wanted to talk all things business planning, especially as we roll into the new year, 2023, you are absolutely listening to the right episode of the Loan Officer Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Kiles. We are powered by the Mortgage Marketing Animals. And today, let me be crystal clear. I have my dearest friend, the one and only Carl White, founder of the Mortgage Marketing Animals, one of my best friend. Let's just say it that way, because last time I got in trouble, but my best friend, Carl White. I know. I wasn't even going to say one of, but we're going to be talking about business planning.
Wow.
And this is such a great topic. And Carl, you literally have, not only are you leading one of the best coaching organizations in the country for loan officers, you have the number one podcast in America for loan officers, and undoubtedly probably have the largest branch for, like, you're a branch manager. Your branch is just doing amazing numbers, probably genuinely one of the top number 1, 2, or 3 in the entire country. Who better to talk to about business planning and what you're thinking, or what loan officers should be thinking about in 2023? Welcome, my dear friend.
Man, it's always a pleasure to come here on your podcast. I have to tell you, which, by the way, for people that may or may not know that's actually how Steve and I met. Steve, I was listening to your podcast before we met, and I went, "Holy cow, this guy's got it going on. This is some really good stuff." And that's kind of what I started it. But yeah, this is a great time of year to start the business plan. And frankly, if you haven't done one any time of the year, so if you're watching this in the future and it's July, right, it's a great time to be working on your business plan, right? It is, because I think, we look, let's face it, most of us in the loan officer business and the branch manager business, like in the mortgage business, very few of us went to college to study mortgage business, right? So we're all at some level winging it, like really.
Yes.
I know I'm a chemistry major. This is about as far away from chemistry as you can get, So winging it has just kind of been what we've always done, and just what feels right, and playing it by the seat of my pants. And we think, every time I jump on a jet, I'm really glad that they have a flight plan.
Yeah.
They have a step-by-step checklist, and they never wing it and flying by the seat of their pants, like ever, right? Like never. And I think, this is like a really important thing to do. I used to foo-foo this kind of stuff, and that was just being honest, that was in ignorance. It really was. I didn't know better.
Yeah. Well, you know what's interesting though? There's two extremes. Either you foo-fooed it, or you made it so complex nobody could execute, and it was like, which is the extreme you follow? And I would say neither. One of the things we're finding, and you and me and our teams, it's been amazing. You can find a rhythm of business planning that really accomplishes task, but task move differently, Carl. The bigger your organization gets, it's not, I plan it today, it happens tomorrow. They start to move in quarters and half years and year. And so that's why the 2023 business plan is so great to be working on, regardless of what time of year, because you need a little bit of direction, and it's not so many things to get done, but really tackling the most important things that move the needle. So if I'm thinking about business plan, what do I do?
I want to, you said something. It remind me of a story I've never told you.
Okay.
So you're talking about complicated. So one of my complicated stories, but you don't know this one. So I was mapping out on a whiteboard with a guy, really smart guy, and I mapped out all this stuff.
Yeah.
And
well, tell that, because that was a great, for people who haven't heard it. Tell.
No, this is a different story. You don't know this story.
Okay.
So I go into this guy's, I flew out to this guy who, where was that? It might've been New York, New York City. So I flew up to this guy, and I mapped all this stuff on the whiteboard of my business plan. And man, it was a lot of stuff. Like, I had a lot of stuff going on, and he literally erased it all. And he wrote 3 words on that. Get more money. So he wrote on the whiteboard, get more money. He said, let's start with that. Like, this is the end result we're looking for. So instead of mapping out all this activity, let's start with the end in mind, get more money. And now let's map out a business plan that has that as the last step.
Hmm.
And that was a game changer.
Dude, that's powerful. And somebody who says, well, it shouldn't be about the money. Listen, the money is one of the key indicators that you're winning. It's what provides the freedom. It's what
without
pays
money,
for the kids' college. It's what we make a difference in charities and donations. And money is not the end all, but it's the big report card.
It's the beginning of everything. Like, because when a company loses
money, you're out of business.
Yeah. When they lose focus on get more money is the main thing.
Wow.
When you lose that focus, there is no assistant, there is no help, there is no processor, there is no underwriter.
Jobs. Yeah.
There is no CRM, there is no phone system, there is no pulling credit. Right. So it sounds kind of cold-hearted sometimes. Say, hey, the primary purpose of your business is not to hire people. The primary purpose of your business is to make money so that you can hire people and do these things. And but get more money. And again, well, we shouldn't say obviously because it's not obvious. But when we say, Steve, when you and I say get more money, of course we're talking about legal, ethical, and moral, right?
Yes.
Of course.
Yes.
So it's not like, well, let me sell this person a cash out refinance to go buy 15 new jet skis for all of his grandchildren. That might not be the best. Well, unless he's getting ready to kick the bucket and is his last thing, like, hey, maybe that wouldn't be such a bad thing. But yeah, it's not that we take advantage of people, right? Because that's not moral or ethical.
Yeah.
So as long as we're being legal, moral, and ethical, get more money is the purpose of any business, period.
Love it. That's great clarity.
Yeah. So,
okay, so talk to us about it. What,
yeah.
As you're thinking about it, because tell us about what are we doing? Business planning.
Well, I think, there has to be a couple goals.
Okay.
Or a couple, there's a couple steps in the process. And so actually get more money is the end result we're looking for. The only thing I've learned to change on that is I've learned to change how much more.
Ooh.
Right. Because I've learned in my planning never to use, and I actually, Steve, I think I learned this from you, that, and if I didn't, take 100% credit for it, because I think in my mind, I think I did, right? It's like, we never want to use words like more or less or not as much or more often, because it's not a clear plan, right? So we want to make sure we have a very clear, concise plan. So now I know, get this much more. Right. And let's say, I don't know, like nobody wants to close an extra 6 loans a month, right? You want the money from an extra 6 loans a month. So let's say you get, and this is just a hypothetical number, it makes easy math. Let's say, I don't know, you get $3,000 per closing. Some of you get double that, some of you half that. Who's providing the leads, and do you have help or not, or whatever, right? But let's just say, so we don't want another 6 loans. We want another 18 grand. And so the first thing to do, I think, is to put, like, what are my top 5 business goals?
Yep.
And not using words like more, less, or arbitrary numbers like that. Like, put in actual numbers, like I want to make another 18,000.
Yes.
A month. Because, there's a couple ways we can do that. Like, and we'll get that into the activities, but like, I could, if I want to make another 18 grand, I could either A, close more loans, or B,
reduce my expenses. Yeah.
Yeah. Fish in an area where there's bigger loan amounts. Like I got a loan officer in my branch. I think, what was it? He closed, I think it was 6 loans for the month, which not bad, right? Not bad. He's just getting started. So it's not bad. And, it's pretty good, actually. He's just getting started, getting ramped up. That's a good number for somebody just getting started. Like, it is. It's a real good number. But I think his average loan amount, I looked at it, it was like, I think it was like 150 or something. It was somewhere near that.
Yeah.
It was like, where in the heck are you getting $150,000 loans in 2022, 2023? Like, I don't even know where he's finding those. So I'm going to have a little talk with him, say, dude, we could double your income by going from 150 to 3. And the thought, well, but the realtors are referring me. Well, find realtors that do bigger houses.
Yeah.
Like, he might be doing real estate agents that are doing like small condos or manufactured homes, which totally cool.
Yep.
But as you target new agents, make sure you target ones with larger loan amounts. So for me, it's picking out top 5 things and say, I want to make an extra 18,000, or I want to
Hire a new team member.
I want to hire a new team member that does blank.
X, like a new processor, a new
Yeah,
pre-approval specialist.
and when they do that activity, it makes more money.
That's it.
Right. It makes more money. So, or I might put in there, I want to start taking Fridays off, right? Because I do my prospecting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I've earned the right to start taking Fridays off. So maybe that's my goal to do for the year. Different things. And maybe it's something as simple as, I want to recruit one loan officer per month, or, for our branch managers out there, or I want to close another 3 loans a month using social media campaigns, which is totally doable, right?
Yeah.
But a very crystal clear example of the different goals that you want, and putting very specific numbers into it. But, I think we have to go a little further upstream though. And it's like, well, is 18,000 more a month enough? Like, what if you find out that, well, I want to live in this house, and I want to drive this car, and I want to give this much money, and I want to help this many underprivileged, I want to be Santa Claus for a neighborhood of kids, right? That's a really cool thing to do, right? So figure out, like, I want to save this much money. I need to have this much money in the bank in the next 10 years to make work optional. Like, come up with a very, very specific number and do the math. Make sure 18 grand a month is enough. You might find out, which actually happened to me. It's like, I had this goal, I want to make this much money per month. And then I hit that number, and I still didn't have those. I still wasn't able to do those things that I wanted to do. And it was like, dang it. I went through all this work, all this trouble, met my goal.
Yeah.
And come to find out, I'm walking from here to California and ended up in the middle of Utah. Right. And it was like, that was probably a bad example, but that's actually one of my favorite states in the nation.
You're like, maybe I'll stop in Utah.
Yeah. So that's actually a bad example. But it's like I'm taking my boat to the water hole, and I'm 100 yards short. It's like, dang it. I dragged this boat for the last 100 miles, and I'm 100 yards short from the water, and it won't move any further. Dang it. So make sure that, you have a very specific of what you're trying to accomplish, and then how much does that cost? And then how do I do that?
I love it. Hey, so on our 1-page business plan, what we're going to do is the top 5 business goals, and then talk about what's the difference between your business goals and your personal goals. What are you really looking at? I think I actually heard you this morning. We were talking, and a couple of years ago, one of your personal goals was bike riding. Those people who know you, you're now biking anywhere from 20 to 40 miles a day. And back then, and most days you're biking twice a day, 40 miles. But back then, 2 years ago, your goal was just to get back into the rhythm of 20 miles a day, right?
Yeah.
So talk about that.
Yeah. It's just, it's just like, again, I don't want to bike ride 20, 40 miles a day.
It's the result.
I want the result of biking 20 to 40 miles a day.
There you go.
I dropped a significant amount of weight, right? Which was good. I'm still doing that. And I recover a lot faster than I used to. So like at the end of the day, I used to be like just totally wiped out. And now I find I have so much more energy. And when I get off work, usually around, it varies. Some days I take myself off like at around 3:00, and some days around 4:30. Because if I go for that extra ride, I like to leave around 3:30 or so. So when I get home, it's not late in the evening. And when I get home, from work, I used to be like, man, I was no good for my wife. It's like she wants to go for a walk, or she wants to go out for dinner, or she wants to go shopping, or frankly, she just wants to go to the park and hold my hand, right? Which is awesome that I got a wife that wants to do that. And I used to be, man, I'd be so tired from working all day. It's like, all I want to do is find the couch. And I said, well, this is no good. I got a wonderful wife that actually
got a young wife.
Yeah. And she wants to spend time with me.
Yeah.
How blessed am I? It's just figuring out these personal goals again, that has a purpose. Like, what's the purpose of it? Like, what's the so that behind it?
And I love what you just did. You went deeper. It's not work for work's sake. It's the result you're trying to get to, the outcome. Love that.
Or saving money. I want to save X amount of money.
Date night. I want to build more intimacy in my marriage, and here's what we're going to do. I mean, the personal is whatever you choose, whether it's health, relational, emotional, Maybe it's quiet time, Bible study, spirituality. You
Mm.
get to pick them, but on the one-page business plan. And by the way, if you want help with this, we have a one-page business plan. Carl has an additional video and content and things that we can get you. We'd love to book into freedomplanningcall.com, fill out a couple of pieces of information. Our team members will jump on the call with you. We'd love to put this resource in your hand, and heck, even help you map out what a one-page business plan would look like. So
Yeah, we'll give you the physical. So this
we'll give you the
one-page
sheet, and they can send them the video. That'd be
it's actually
great.
a physical piece of paper.
Yeah.
And so I would strongly recommend booking that real quick.
freedomplanningcall.com. Yep.
And we'll give it to you. Like we'll totally give it to you. And
So top
I'll
five
tell you-
business goals.
I'll
Top
tell you
five
one of my-
personal.
So I'll
Go
tell
ahead.
you one of my personal goals that I had, and I
Yeah.
hope it's okay to share this. So
Yeah.
I'm not doing this to be pompous or braggadocious or anything. It's something I'm just really proud of. And I think our podcast listeners, you know us well enough that hey, I want to do a little victory dance here. Like I made it to the end zone.
Spike the ball, baby.
Yeah, I want to spike the ball, right? I think it's okay to do that amongst friends, right?
Yeah.
And you guys are our friends, so I hope you'll appreciate this. So this might not sound like much, and there's a deeper story that goes behind it, which you know, Steve. We don't have time to tell today, but this was an epic thing for me. Is that we sponsored some Little League baseball teams.
Yeah.
And that might not sound like a big deal to you guys. And I promise you, sponsoring Little League baseball didn't help my business one iota, right? So that was not a business goal, right? I mean, they put our little company name behind their shirts, and I thought it was cute and everything, but there is zero chance
We got
that
a deal out of that.
that I'm going to get a loan, or I'm going to find a loan officer that wants training, or no chance whatsoever. And the best part about it was he called me up. So we found the guy that was in charge of it, and asked him about the sponsorship, asked him how much it was. And I asked him, how many levels of teams do they have? You know, they have the juniors and the seniors and the peewee, and then the boys and the girls and the softball and the baseball. Like, I think it's like
A
9
bunch.
different leagues or something. Yeah, it's like 9 different leagues. And he said, which one you want to do? I want to do all of them. I want to do one of each. Right. So like anything that you don't have sponsored, I'll take. So I don't want to take a sponsorship away from a local pool company. Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. But if you got anybody that's looking for a sponsor, I'll take them all. And if I don't care if you might have 4 in one division. I don't care. And brother, when I go out there, I know this might sound silly, but I'm telling you, when I go out that little league field and I see them moms and their dads out there with their with their boys and girls out there playing Little League, that I could play a small part and to help and make that happen was just epic for me on a personal level. And we just re-upped for the next. So we just finished a season, and I just re-upped for the next season. So that was just a personal goal that I've had for probably
a long time. Well, it's been years,
decades.
Yeah.
Right.
And for you to be able to make that, I mean, it's so amazing, the feeling of accomplishment, hitting that goal.
And dude, not that it like, I don't know, almost certainly none of my neighbors or anybody from my church, or like there's nobody that I want them to see my name and I want them to see my company. Like there was none of that, right? Because it's Little League, right? It's 5-year-olds out there playing.
It's Lucas running around.
Yeah, this is not. I mean, some of them kids. So we sponsored. So one of the teams we did was the senior league, and I think I might have it off a little bit. I think they're like 13, something like that.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something.
Those kids can play when they start.
Holy cow! That 13-year-old pitcher, man, he'd
strike you out.
I think I'll kill aside. I think he would. It was pretty awesome. So anyway, so the personal goals.
Yeah.
You know, they're personal.
Yeah.
Right. And some of these things I think it's good to share with your friends to help hold you accountable. And frankly, some of them might be very private, you know, that's just your business and nobody else. And it might not make sense to anybody else, but by gosh, it's something that you want to do.
I love that.
So I remember our dear friend, Ralph Watkins. He had a personal goal of learning another language. And so he signed up on one of those apps and to learn Spanish. No reason, just wanted to.
Yeah.
Right? He wasn't using it in his business, just wanted to. And the dude's spot on Spanish now. Like when we go to Mexico, he can
Si habla español.
Yeah, he can get us all kinds of good and all kinds of trouble, like whatever you're looking for, you know. So He does. He knows Spanish like the back of his hand. And
Yeah.
again, no, he just wanted to.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Hey, and you know what I love about our one-page strategic business plan is, again, it's not 10 or 15 things. We find that when there's too much on there, you're less likely, because it almost becomes a distraction. So one of the things that we encourage is top 5 business goals. Even if you have only 3, that's okay. It's not the more the merrier. It's up to 5, and then top 5 personal goals. And then what I love is this, the power of a quarter. So then we're going to help you break it down, but it's important to look at, okay, when are they, my goal is to have this done by Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. And what it does is it allows you to have a focus on what those goals are doing, both personally and business. So Carl, if you're looking at it, how do you know which ones to put first?
Whichever ones is going to make my first dollar first for me on my business goals.
Yeah.
So it's a couple things. It's number one, what's going to make the first dollar first?
Yeah.
Not even the most dollars.
The first
one first. And the reason I do that, Steve, is because when I get that first loan in first from doing that activity, it reinforces the behavior. Right. It's back to Pavlov's dog. I heard the bell ring and I started salivating.
Yeah.
And so now I know, hey, I sat down, I focused. Your team, Steve, may have helped me map it out. And I took that map out and I closed another loan, and I did it like right now.
Quick. Yeah.
Yeah. And I go, holy cow, that worked. I think I'll do more of that. Yes. So I think it's real important to get a real fast pat on the back. And for me, that's a closed loan. The other, so it's a little bit of a criteria. The other one, first loan first. And then the other one is, and this just takes brutal honesty, which strategy, which one am I actually likely to complete?
Hey, now that's a funny thing. That goes back to the honesty. How many years did we're like, oh, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Never did it. Yeah.
I think, you really have to just self-honesty of how likely am I going to do this? So if it's something as simple as picking up the phone, I would put you're highly likely if you know what to say.
Yep.
Right. And Steve, your team is fantastic at scripts. So that takes away that objection, like totally. When you know what to say, man, call reluctance really just melts away like really fast when you know what to say and who to say it to. Right. So, but like, let's say I want to set up this social marketing funnel. Well, I've seen some of the funnels and we have them, right? We do some of them.
Yep.
Dude, we have a full-time person that does nothing but that. Right. And so there's like 14 steps to it. So, and like the social media platforms, they're constantly changing how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They change what's allowed or what's not allowed, or my ads aren't being shown. I think they're being shown, but they're actually not. It's called ghosting, where you are shadowing, where you think they're going out, but they're actually not. And so there's a lot of moving pieces there. I'm not saying not to do it. I'm just saying there's a lot of moving pieces. So if I was to be the one to actually implement that strategy, I personally, and again, this is just personal to me, I would opt out of that one because it's not likely I would finish it because there's so much to learn in that aspect that now I've got somebody that does it. And I'm glad in my case, it's she, I'm glad she does it. But if it was me doing it and I didn't have that full-time person, I would tap out of that just because it's not likely I would actually complete it. For me, I'd end up on the NASCAR fan page and, 3 hours later, I'm sitting there going, dude, I got nothing accomplished here. So, and then the third thing.
Yeah.
So the first one is first loan first. The second one was how likely am I to do it?
Yeah.
The third piece is, will I enjoy doing this? Because this kind of goes back to number 2. If I don't enjoy doing it, I'm not likely to finish it.
Yeah.
Right. So at some level, and then you go back to the calls. Well, I enjoy the call. When you know what to say, heck, I enjoy the calls. I know what to say because I love the wins.
Yeah.
Now, do I win every time? No. Do I even win most of the time? No. Do I win enough to make a lot of money? Yeah, I do. And when I snag that win, because you have to remember, a yes from a real estate agent where they're going to start sending me a deal every month is worth, I don't know, in my world, about 36 grand. Dude, I get 3 of those in a year. I just increased my income by 100 grand.
It's so simple.
I love that.
3 agents equal $100,000. It's so
literally
simple. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just assuming $3,000 per
Yeah.
loan, right? So that's
Yeah.
so first loan first, likely to complete, enjoy doing. Here's the last piece, and this is for the more advanced, right? If you're just getting started, throw this one out. But for the more advanced, can I delegate this off at some point once I get it up and going? Can I delegate? Because otherwise, if I'm doing a strategy that I can't delegate, and then I do another strategy that I can't delegate and another one, now I'm capped off.
Yeah.
Where if I do a strategy that I can delegate, like in my case, I did used to do the Facebook ads. Like I did them all. I did every step of it.
Yeah.
And then I tapped out. I couldn't do anything else. And so then we hired somebody to do that full time. So I delegated that off. I'm getting the results of that. And I freed me up to go do the next thing, figure it out, get it up and going, delegate it out. Now I've got loans coming into that second piece, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat.
That's so good. Well, hey, and I love it. That's such a, so first loan first, likely to complete.
Yep.
What do you enjoy doing? And can I delegate it off for the advanced? That's great. Great formula.
And I'd be, the one I'd be cautious about is the enjoy doing. Because maybe in the past I didn't enjoy doing it because I didn't know how to do it. When I first got on my bicycle, when I was a wee kid, I remember this. I literally remember this. I freaking hated it.
Yeah.
Right. Because every time I ended up, pounding sand, I lived on a sandy dirt road. That's how I learned how to ride an old sandy Florida dirt road. And man, it's hard for me now to ride a bike on a sandy road, much less never rid one before. And I absolutely hated it, but it's because I didn't know how. Once I knew how, it's one of the favorite parts of my day now.
Yeah.
So,
I think you also got to think about this too. Sometimes you're in a season, you have to do what you don't enjoy until you can delegate it off. If it's a quick delegate,
I've done that.
And so it's not always, hey, what's the strict zone? We say probably 80% you enjoy, you got to do what you enjoy. You'll probably still have 15, 20% of things you may or may not enjoy.
Hey brother, I remember, I literally remember going out with a broom and sweeping my parking lot at my mortgage office because it got real sandy because it was close to the beach.
Yeah.
And it get real super sandy and somebody needed to sweep that thing and I couldn't afford
somebody do it.
At the time I couldn't afford. So I had to do it. I had a buddy of mine that literally owned a Holiday Inn and a pretty good size one. And I go in there one day, he's literally on his hands and knees washing the floor in the front lobby. And I said, George, what are you doing? He said, well, I'm cleaning the floor. And I said, no, I get that. Why are you cleaning the floor? He says, cause I can't find anybody to do it for free and it needs to be done. It needs to be done right now. And I was like, all right, you fast forward, the dude did real well for himself, right? But when he first started, it was a stretch. He financed his hotel and he couldn't hardly afford it. And he did what he had to do. And I don't know, maybe his wife helped clean the rooms or maybe he cleaned the rooms while she did the book work or whatever, but you do what you can do till you make some money and then you hire somebody to do all the other stuff.
So good. Hey, and listen, on the one-page business plan, remember this, if you want our team to walk you through it, go to freedomplanningcall.com. We'll give it to you as a gift. We'll include Carl's video. It's a full 25-minute video on how to fill it out, literally step by step. A couple of things you want to do. You got your top 5 business goals, top 5 personal goals. You want to then break them up into quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. And then you want to start looking at what are my non-negotiables in my schedule for weekly and monthly. So wrap up by talking about that, Carl. Like what would be non-negotiables? How would you look at that like in your weekly and monthly schedule? Because I do agree with that. You got to do 2 things. I'd chunk your time based on what you've got to do to be the most effective and make you the most money. So talk about weekly and monthly non-negotiables in my schedule.
All right. So like for me, my non-negotiables is working the weekends, working evenings, non-negotiable, not going to happen. Yeah. That's not available at any price. Right. Everybody says, well, everything has a price.
Until it doesn't.
Not when you made a promise that you wouldn't do that. Right. So that doesn't have a price. So there is no price. So, cause for me, it's like, and Steve, you and I have talked about this before on the front porch. It's like how to yay without boo. How to yay, how to do something awesome. So how to insert in awesome thing without insert in thing that you don't want to do. For instance, like, let's say I want to make another 18 grand a month, right, in my mortgage business. So it's like, so the question is, as I'm mapping out my business plan, how do I make another 18 grand and not work after 5 or Saturday, Sunday? And so if I go, well, open houses, not if it requires me to work Saturday, Sunday, that's a non-negotiable. Now there's a way to do
We've
open
talked
houses.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a way to do multiple,
Yeah.
like 4, 5, 10 open houses on the weekends without actually being there. But that's for another time. Or when you call in to get your business plan, we can map that out for you. It's like I used to get more leads than anybody else on open houses,
and
me nor anybody on my team was actually there. And it's just a clever little trick or kind of a life hack, I guess. I mean, it's not anything uncool or anything. It's just a simple little trick that most people would never think of. And so it's just figuring out, like, how do I get this benefit without, and it's not until you ask that question, how do I yay without boo, that when you start asking that question over and over and over in your mind, it becomes a muscle that you can develop. And the answers the first time answers come really slow. It might take days or weeks or maybe a couple hours, but for me, it take a while to figure it out. But then as I did that more and more and more, it's a muscle, kind of like doing crossword puzzles. Once you do them for a little bit, you do them every day, you get really, really, really good at them.
Yeah.
And the same thing, how to yay without boo, these answers will start popping to you a lot faster once you start actually exercising it. Really good stuff. Especially if you walk through with somebody that's already done it and kind of guide you through the process. Really cool.
And we can do that. And Carl, I love the thing about your business plan is it's a possibility sheet. That's all it is. Hey, how do I make $18,000 more without doing the things I don't want to do? You don't want to make the outbound calls. That's okay. They still got to be done. Let's figure out a plan to do it without you being the one making the outbound calls. And I think we talk about this in our 2-day boot camp. We see top producers that work weekends. We see top producers that don't. We see top producers that take off 7 weeks out of the year, 2 months out of the year. We see top producers that don't. We see top producers that go and attend closings. We see top producers that don't. We see some that still chase conditions. We see some that don't. What you got to do is decide what part of it you don't want to do and don't do it, because it's on both sides. You get to design what you're building. It's dreaming, imagining what your business can be, remembering that your business becomes a slave to you. It becomes a worker on your behalf that goes out and starts to execute the dreams that you have for you and your family. And I just want to encourage you, Carl and I want to really encourage you, take this time, take 2 or 3 hours, dream it out, look at the 1-page business plan and say, okay, what are the top 5 things? And here's a great question Carl taught me last year. What's the one thing that if I did that, changes 50 other things? Or what's the 1 or 2 things that if I do it, it affects everything else in the positive light? And so as you're looking at it, look for 1 to 5 business, 1 to 5 personal, break them up into quarters. What are your non-negotiables? And we've even got a section in there where you can start looking at a time block. And what were your units in volume this year, units in volume next year? And it's so simple. You can not only fill it out, but then each quarter reevaluate it, revisit it, pivot if you need to. More than likely, if you're following the daily success plan and you've got good accountability, Carl, more than likely they're going to be looking at June, July saying, man, I've already hit all my goals. Time to look a little further out.
Let me close this out here by I see we're at the top of the hour here. By telling you a real quick story. I literally just got off the phone with a loan officer. His name is Dave Kablatis. And Dave, we mapped out this 1-page business plan with him, right? Dude, I'm going to get emotional on this one. So we mapped out this 1-page business plan, and he just reported back he's 90 days into it, and he had a 233% increase in his closings in 90 days.
Wow.
Now people say, is that typical? No, that's not typical. Don't be typical. Right? Don't be typical. Don't be typical.
Yeah.
And so one thing I told Dave when we were first talking, if I remember right, it was him, that he said something about when we're mapping out what to do. He said, well, to be realistic. I said, no, man, don't be realistic. Screw realistic. Let's go through it. And now that we look, is it realistic that this cat would have a 233% increase
in a market that's down 68%?
It's remarkable.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Now, interesting thing. If you looked like the first month, not a whole lot of movement. The second month, nothing much there. The third month, not much there. It wasn't until the fourth month that all of a sudden, just popped. Boom.
That's it. 90 days.
Which goes back to the work you do today is your closings 90 days from now. 100%. Right. And that's how it works. Mm-hmm. So I'm just so proud of him. He stepped up the plate and did the
Call-Stars contract. He was the very first one, wasn't he?
He was the very first MMA Call-Stars contract. He called me up and he said, "Hey, I think
you to hold me accountable."
Yeah. He said, "Carl, I want to be held accountable." I said, "All right. So we're going to take your what would be quarterly goals."
Yeah.
And frankly, we put them all into one quarter. So he took his what would be 4 quarterly goals, which is getting meeting with more real estate agents and get more business from them, get more business from the loans that he already has, getting loans from his past database, and the people that he pre-approved and that normally would, you kind of get lost and they end up leaving or shopping, or you don't know what happened to them because you didn't follow up. We were going to work on each one of those in each quarter. And I said, screw that. Let's put it all in one quarter. And so he did the contract on the, which is just an accountability sheet, right? It's not a contract per se.
Yeah.
But it's so he wanted to be accountable to implement these activities to meet his goal. And I don't think any of us expected 233% increase in 90 days. And that's not realistic. So as you're mapping this stuff out, screw realistic, write down what you want. What do you want? What do you want? So anyway, good stuff, Steve. Thanks for having me on, brother.
Hey, man. Well, great insight. Thank you for walking us through. If you're listening, you say, I really want somebody to help walk me through it, or I want to get a copy of it. I want Carl's video. Go to freedomplanningcall.com, fill out just a couple of pieces of information, and we will get it to you. So we'd love to have you. Just visit freedomplanningcall.com. We'll put the one-page business plan in your hands for you to get settled through the holidays. So, all right, my friend, remember this, everybody who's listening. Hey, before I let you go, let me do this. If you know of 1 or 2 loan officers, let's say 3, that today need to hear this about business planning, would you do this for Carl and I? Would you just share it with 3 loan officers? Send them this podcast so that they too could have a jump start on business planning for 2023. Thank you for that. Remember, anything worth doing is worth doing badly. Just get started. See ya.